Hello everyone, this is Todd from Hartland Oaks, and today we're talking about goats. Well, actually types of goat housing and toys and structures and all that neat stuff. So my wife hates it when I say I'm a cheapskate, but I try to repurpose all kinds of things. She keeps buying animals and I keep getting stuck trying to figure out how to entertain them and keep them safe. So you see here on our farm, we have lots of different things that our goats get to play on. Oh, over here you can see I took some stairs from old mobile homes and I put those all over. We have like 4 or 5 sets of these. I move them around to different spools. That's an old chair, like a lounger that my horses stepped on, so eventually I just put it up there for the goats to play on. You can see we have lots of different spools over here, big spools. I do have to warn you though, we have a goat with a broken leg. Got broke over a year ago because she got knocked off one of those spools. You can see the big house. Oh, this is hard to do on this. Over here, I built that with a friend, partly because it's never happened to us here. Hey, stop hitting my camera, goat. But during Hurricane Harvey a few years back, this area flooded and there was supposedly about 3 foot of water here. Now, we've never had an issue like that. We've gotten a couple inches of water after a big storm, but never enough to, cause drowning of animals. But I wanted to make sure, just in case, that we were prepared for that. Sorry, it's kind of windy today, as you can tell. So let's walk over and actually look at this barn over here. Well, not really a barn, but let's take a look-see. So you can see we have a ramp up there. It's probably a good 3.5 foot up, plus it's on the highest part of our property. Now, I do have it so that wind can blow through because we are in Texas and it gets hot. It gets real hot. So it's covered. It's got a tin roof that's screwed down and it has survived through a hurricane. Now, during the winter, I do cover these gaps. I've used tar paper, I've recycled feed bags, but just to keep the wind out of it and keep it dry. You can see it's got all kinds of areas for goats to get up on in case we ever flood. I actually at one point had feed troughs in here and I made it so I could walk around. This opens on 3 sides and I could dump food in from outside so I didn't have to climb up there. One on each side and one in the back. It is cemented into the ground because again, we do get hurricanes. But this is a nice addition. The goats like it. It gives me a good feeling knowing that if it were to ever flood, they do have a place to retreat. Now, these IBC totes, these are kind of old, and this one here is all broke up. I did originally put a flap on all of them, but you can find old IBC totes like this. Look for food grade IBC totes. Anywhere from like $60 to $100. I just used an angle grinder and I cut that out. I cut the door out. I also drilled holes on the floor and the inside in case it gets wet in there. Now these are about 4 inches off the ground as it is, but I wanted it so if goats pee in there, it'll drain out. If water gets in, it drains out. You can see repurposing stairs like this. Got these old stairs for free. And I have stairs like this in lots of different places so that our goats have places to go. And again, they like to climb on things. They like to be up on top of things. Over here, this was an old dog crate. The top was broken, so I just took the top off. Baby goats can climb in it. Goats can sit on top of it. Here I got a bunch of old tires. I actually screwed those tires together to make like this tree. I stuck a blue barrel in there just so no one falls in and gets stuck in there. But goats use this all the time. I keep this whole branch in here because they like to itch on it and chew on it. You can see there's a big spool there. Goats are in it all the time. Someone was throwing away this playhouse and I threw it in here. The top wasn't ruined when I first threw it in, but goats climb on it all the time. You can see the dogs use it, the goats use it. Here's another little playhouse area that someone was selling really cheap on Facebook Marketplace, so we got it. You can see the dogs like it. Another one, sometimes goats are playing on it. You can see the dogs use it quite often too. So again, I just look for cheap things I could find on Facebook Marketplace or while I'm driving down the road. Here's more IBC totes, but with these, what I've done is I actually put a tin roof on top and then I screwed it down just because we got the high winds here. But the animals can go in there. It gives them another place to be safe. Here's an old kayak that needed to be plastic welded. I was going to do it, but instead I just used it for goats to play on. It moves around in different places. More of these giant spools. I'm not even sure what this was. But either way, we threw it here and it's something for goats to climb on, something for goats to get in to get out of the rain because goats hate rain. But with spools, as you can see, this spool eventually started to break down, so I tore it down myself, and whenever I'm in here, I take a couple boards out and throw them in the burn pile. Over here, we took some old pallets and we made some sheds. So you can see there, 2 pallets here, 2 pallets in the back, 2 pallets there. I took some 2x6s, screwed them up. They tilt forward because the ground tilts this way. Normally people would want it to tilt the other way, but I wanted the water to run down the hill. When it got really cold, I had some old fence boards and I just screwed them up to stop the wind from blowing in. So I screwed them on there to close the gap up. Whenever there's a hurricane coming, I may close up some of the front just to stop the wind from blowing in. So we have 2 of those, and I can move them around with a tractor. An old chicken coop that I made with fence post, because that's like the cheapest wood you can get. I had to make that to stop the goats from getting in and the dogs from getting in. I wish I could take credit for this chicken coop, but I cannot. Some friends of ours had bought it and they no longer wanted chickens, and so they repurposed it to us. So it's a good solid chicken coop and another place where animals can get underneath to get out of the weather. Let's look at some more things here. Sorry, I feed my dogs in here so that the goats don't steal all their food. You can see the little plastic picnic table I got really cheap for them. At one point I made a cheap little goat dog house here. I made this one of the first barns I made. I did lower the top here during the hurricane so that the wind wouldn't blow all up in there. But in here you can see I also have shelves, places for the goats to get out of. So it's closed in, protects them from the rain, protects them from the winds during the hurricane. This is another barn I built. You can see Rosie and Ginger Snap are using it now. This was originally built for my donkeys. So when I closed in half of it up there, again, I repurposed some fence boards because that was the cheapest thing I could find. I did that during the last hurricane so they could get in there and get out of the wind and the rain. Living here next to the Texas coast, hurricanes are what I have to worry about. Let's look at some other housing that we used. Over here are breeding pens. I made these two houses and it actually had windows here. I boarded it up when it was cold. But I'll take you in there and show you that in a second. My wife always hits her heads on them. Her head, she only has one head, sorry. My wife hits her head on it all the time because I didn't make them tall enough. Here you can see I lowered the door to stop the amount of wind from coming in. But these are just, and again, I covered the windows. I had windows for when it gets hot, but when it got cold, I covered the windows with some boards just in order to keep it drier and warmer. These are just some extra things I use to cover the doors at times. I'm just sitting there. I don't really know what these are, but I got them for $5 and they make goat houses as well. So I don't know if they were, I don't know. It's just fiberglass. So you just cut a hole in them and there's a house. I have two of these. One is 2 stories. This one is just 1 story. It's just tall on the inside. And you can see here, Drew keeps breaking all the boards. He breaks all the fences, like all the time. When there's a girl in heat, he has to get to her. Drew is crazy. And of course, don't forget igloos. If you find cheap igloos, they are great. This one, I'm gonna fix this in a few moments. Someone was getting rid of it. Hey. Stop there. So, I know we didn't get to see much because the goats kept getting in the way, but look at that. In about 2 minutes, we've totally revamped this poor house that someone was throwing away. All it took is two spare pieces of 2x4s and 3 screws. And we have a nice, solid goat house. Boom. Remember, goats hate rain, so you just got to find something for them to get out of the rain. And that's really all there is to it. Repurposing. Finding inexpensive ways to create goat shelters. So, hopefully, we gave you some ideas. There's lots of different things out there. Time and money is the biggest thing for me when I'm creating shelters. My wife just keeps buying animals and I just keep getting stuck trying to come up with ways to house these animals and to keep them safe. So here, just a bunch of cheap ideas that I've used for housing. Hey, what are you doing there, girl? You can't be up there. You can't get up there. So, I guess that's it for today. Hartland Oaks signing out. Hopefully I gave you a couple good ideas and you came up with something that you could use yourself. As always, have a great day.